Okay, let's have a look at how we can accept some information from the user. So far, our programs are just displaying things and doing it in different colors and that type of thing, which is cool, but we haven't actually allowed the user to interact with our program in any way. So we're going to look at how we can use the input function to accept input from the users, to allow the user to type in information and then to store that information somewhere so that our program can use whatever they supply to us later in the program. Okay, so in this case, we are going to ask the user to tell us whether they want to pick up their dinner or they want that delivered to their home. So we're going to use the input function here. And the way the input function works is that it's very similar to the print function. Okay, so the input function will display whatever is in between the brackets and quotation marks, like what we see there. So it's just going to display pickup or delivery, just like the print statement. Okay, but the difference is the input function will then pause the program and will allow the user to type something in. So we'll wait for the user to type something in. So here, input command pauses and the cursor will come up and the user will be able to type something in. Okay, so let's say they type pickup. The program will remain paused until the user presses enter. So once they press enter, the program will then continue. So you'll notice that in this line of code, you've got method equals input. The thing to note here is every time you see an equal sign in Python, in any line of code, we always do the right-hand side first. So we kind of read it in reverse order. Okay, so instead of going from left to right, whenever we see the equal sign, we actually do the right-hand side first. That's why we're doing the input first. Okay, but the moment they press enter, the input function is complete, and so we are now able to move our way to the left-hand side. And what the equal sign does is it says, take whatever the user typed in as part of the input function. So whatever they typed in this case it's pickup, and we're going to put it into storage, okay, so that we can use it later. Imagine that in this case a variable is kind of like a backpack, okay. That's the variable there. That's where we're going to store pieces of information that the user gave to us, so that we can use it later. We can have many different variables in our code, okay? And because we can have tons of variables, they all need their own name. So we can tell them apart and we can refer to which variable we need later on. So they all need a name, and in this case, the name of the variable is called method. So it's important to just revisit that equal sign again. The equal sign is a very important symbol in Python. Remember, equal sign, we do right to left. Okay, the right-hand side will be done first, and whatever information we get from the right-hand side will be put into a variable that's on the left-hand side. So whenever we see an equal sign, we will know that on the left-hand side will always be a variable. It will always contain the name of a variable. So in this case, the name is called method. So it's kind of like a backpack with the name method, opens up, the pickup word goes into that variable because the equal sign puts whatever's on the right-hand side into the left-hand side, and then everything's wrapped up. And we now have a little variable in our code that's called method that contains the information that the user typed in. So what was the point of doing all of that? Well, like we said, we want to remember what the user typed in so that we can maybe later in our program charge them a different amount depending on what they selected, or remember to call a driver, or remember to tell the staff to keep your pizza warm in the shop if people are going to pick it up. Okay, so there's all these different things that can happen depending on what the user said, and so that's why it's important to remember that, and we use a variable to keep track of that later.